Laura from Portland Music Company off Broadway. We thought we'd give you guys a few tips for restringing your guitar from home. So a few things that you're going to need before you get started is a tuner. So anything that clips onto the headstock is totally fine. You're going to need a string winder to make things a lot easier. And then these are just standard wire cutters that you've probably got in your garage at home. You're going to need all of that as well as a fresh set of strings. Typically any acoustic guitar that you keep from the factory is going to have a set of 12 gauge strings, which are standard light gauge. So it's a good idea to just stick with those unless you've set it up differently yourself. Which of course you can always give us a call and we can help you navigate the world of strings as well. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you're restringing at home is go ahead and take all the tension off of the strings. So by doing this, you're just going to loosen all the strings this way. So you can use a string winder and just take that tension off. All right, so now that you have all of the slack taken under your strings and all the tensions out, you can go ahead and grab those wire cutters you got at the beginning. You can go ahead and just take a couple of them at a time, and you're gonna cut those strings. Since they're not under tension, this doesn't provide any danger to yourself or the guitar. So you can just go ahead and cut those through. There we go. All right, and then you just unwind them from the headstock and just take the strings off. So now moving on to your bridge pins. So these are what hold the ball end of your string into the bridge of the guitar. If you do lose these, they are pretty much stock on every guitar, and we've got a bunch of them here. So if you lose them or the cat finds it before you're done, you can come into the shop and we can replace them for you. So super easy for the most part. They'll just lift straight out, and then you just take the string out. Occasionally, one will get stuck in, and what you can do is you can just reach inside and you can push them up from the bottom. If they're very, very stubborn, your string winder also has a tool built into the end of it. So your bridge pin sits in this, and then you can just kind of pry it off. So if they do get stuck, you can actually use that to just pull it up. But for the most part, you can just pull them out with your hands. So now that the strings are off your guitar, it's a good time to condition the neck. So you can take just a regular rag, and then I use lemon oil, but you can also use guitar honey or anything else that you can use to just condition and oil the fretboard. So what you'll do is just take a small clean square of cloth, go ahead and spray a little bit out on there, and then you're just going to work it into the wood. So now that you've conditioned your fretboard, one thing that you can do, go ahead and just open up your guitar strings. And most of them will have a sealed off package. That's just to make sure they don't oxidize. So these ones, they're phosphor bronze strings, which are going to have a bright, warm sound, so most players prefer these ones. So when you first have them out, they're all going to be wound in. So what you can go ahead and do is just unwind the circles. You're going to want to do that away from you because sharp wires. And it avoids the need for goggles while restringing, so that's something. One thing that D'Addario does, which is kind of cool, is they actually color code their strings. So if you're not sure which order they go in, or if you're using ones that they all look pretty similar, you can actually go off the color code that's on the inside of the package. Or just a general rule of thumb, they go from thick to thin, from 6 to 1. All right, so now we've gotten to the point where we're ready to wind our strings. So the best thing to do, there's a few different ways to do this. The easiest way would be to go ahead and have this as kind of a cross angle. So it's kind of diagonal across. And then you'll thread your string in here. So you want it to be threading from the inside out. And so you have enough space. Kind of a cool trick is you can have your hand like karate chop about the 5th fret and pull that tight. And that'll give you just enough rounds around here that you can still tune, and it'll have good intonation from here. To get the string to stay in place, you can go ahead and pinch it with your hand and then just create a little Z shape in it. So that'll keep the string from moving on you. And from there, you can either cut the string or you can wait. So go ahead and just trim that down. So you can toss the tail, you can actually recycle your strings. And then you'll get that string winder again. Go ahead and hold that string in place, and then you're just going to wind here. So it's important to have your strings wind below as well, because that'll provide the good angle from the nut so it stays in tune and you don't have issues with tuning your guitar later. All right, so with strings being brand new, now that you have all of them on there, you can go ahead and start stretching the strings. So these ones are still under very limited amounts of tension, which is why it sounds like that. So one kind of a good way to stretch the strings, you can actually just put your hand around the 5th fret, go ahead and hold underneath those strings and just kind of give it a pull, sort of at a sweeping angle with your hand. So that'll give it kind of a chance to stretch the strings a little bit without the danger of pulling out bridge pins, which when you tighten up your strings, you might have one of these start to kind of come out. That's totally normal. Go ahead and just push it back down. Loose bridge pins are actually a good thing because it means that you have a guitar that doesn't have any kind of warping or anything going on in the bridge. So it's actually a really good sign if they are coming out on you. And you can go the other direction too. Typically if you're doing a classical restring, it's going to have a lot more stretch with the nylon strings. Or if you use a hybrid string like the silk and steel. So one thing you can do is do the same process and just do it higher up on the neck. All right. And then when you're ready to tune, your highest strings actually hold more tension than the lower. So when you're tuning up your guitar, it's a good idea to tune from highest to lowest string. So that way it'll hold everything. Otherwise, if you go from lowest to highest, you're going to have to restring it backward again. Because as more tension gets brought on that, the neck angle will shift on you a little bit. All right, so now it's time to get your guitar tuned. One thing that you can do if you don't already have one at home, just a headstock clip-on tuner is a really easy thing to use. That just clips onto here and actually reads off of vibrations versus sound. So if you're on a loud sound stage, it's kind of nice to have for tuning in green room as well, because it doesn't matter if it's loud, so it all just picks up frequencies. All right, so those are super easy. Thank you so much for watching. So if you guys have any questions, you can always give the store a call here. Again, my name's Laura. I'm at our Broadway location. If you guys run into any issues with your guitar too, these are really good ways to maintain them. But if you ever run into anything, you can always bring it by and have us take a look at it for you as well.